For you fellow Rotarians, thank you also. I'd just like to start by sharing my connection to Rotary. Firstly, I've got two connections. Firstly, through my maternal grandfather. He was a Rotarian in the Whyalla Rotary Club for many, many years, mid to late last century. Reginald Heading, including being the president there, and he unfortunately passed earlier this century in 2001, about 2 weeks prior to being awarded an OAM. So that's a bit sad, but anyway, he deserved it. And my second connection is through my father, Darryl Foote, who was with the Rotary Club of Unley for a number of years, also including being president there. And I have a photo of him. That's him. So that's a beautiful photo of my father and I. That's me, different hair. You'll notice a few different hairstyles as we go through. This photo is particularly important and poignant because it is taken in October 2018, so it's a few years ago now. At this point in my life, I'm 52 years old. Life is fabulous. I've got a terrific job as a media monitor for the Premier and Cabinet, monitoring all sorts of pesky radio broadcasters on 5AA, all sorts of that sort of thing. No. Some who may be present in the room today. Also, those of you, that's me with the arrow stuck above my head. I'm not superimposed in there. That's me with my little head sticking over. Some of the more observant amongst us might notice that that is Premier Jay Weatherill at the front there. Yet in September 2018, the Premier was in fact Stephen Marshall. He'd just been elected 6 months prior, but in the 4 years he was Premier, we never had a photo taken together, so I couldn't pop him in there. But they were COVID times, so I guess, yeah, contact was a little bit tricky then. So anyway, I digress. So it's September 2018. Life is good job. I'm in a wonderful relationship with my partner Olaf, and we're still in a relationship together, by the way. He's a keeper, and we travel a lot. We've always got plans for travel. We look forward to our long distance walks, and we just booked a long distance walk in the UK, the Cleveland Way. 175 kilometres around the Yorkshire moors and along the North Sea. We'd just booked that holiday. Everything was travelling sweetly. I had 8 months to prepare, get fit, get active. So the July the next year, we were off and we were going. That's a little map of the Cleveland Way. So everything was great. And then I found a lump in my breast. Hard to describe how that feels unless you've been there, which some of us have. So what ensues then? A whirlwind of doctor's appointments, scans, tests, waiting, that quiet fear that sort of musters in within you. Constantly told not to worry. It's probably nothing. Heard that more times than I can count. But as many of us know, it's impossible not to worry. And I'm not sure where the best place is to take that dreaded phone call, but I'm pretty sure a busy lift lobby on the 12th floor of the State Administration Centre is probably not the right place to take that call, but that's where I was told I had breast cancer. And that was the moment my life changed. So again, more tests, appointments with the breast surgeon, sitting across from his desk, hearing all sorts of things that had to happen. And strangely, the only coherent thought that I could muster and blurted out to him was, can I still walk the Cleveland Way in 6 months? 8 months, I think it was then. And his look was, why are you asking that? And that was the only thing I could focus on. In all of that craziness, I wanted to walk that walk in 8 months' time. It actually turned out to be quite a poignant thought, but we'll get to that. So all the experts seemed to think it would be okay if everything went to plan. And let's see how that went. And so surgery quickly followed. I had a right breast mastectomy, and what followed after that was 6 months of chemotherapy. Am I there? That's me with no hair. So, yeah, another hairstyle. So, with this driving force behind me of really wanting to walk the Cleveland Way, 6-7 months later, I didn't know how my body was going to respond. But if it went well and everything went to plan, once chemo had finished, I had 6 weeks before we were supposed to start the walk. Suddenly, that crazy thought I had became my life purpose, a goal, and it gave me something to get out of bed for on the bleak days. I was lucky enough to be able to continue working in that role as a media monitor. I only had 1 day a week off to recover, but I was lucky enough to keep working and able to keep training. And as you can see, things are starting to look a bit bleak. Still pushing myself on the exercise bike, walking flights of stairs, just making every effort I could. And interestingly, my goal obviously was to do this walk. But one of the huge side benefits of exercising whilst having chemotherapy, is the physical exercise lessens some of the side effects. And even though some days it's the last thing you feel like doing, it actually ultimately is the best thing you can be doing. Now, clearly it didn't help with the hair loss, but it did help with many, many other things. So lots of ups and downs during that time. Not something I'd recommend, but that's what some of us have to go through. Now, I'm mindful everyone's cancer journey is different, and I was very lucky well, not lucky, of course I wasn't lucky, but fortunate to be able to continue moving, working, surviving. Crazy looking at this photo now. I actually thought no one could tell I had cancer. I thought I was getting away with it. I really did. Put a hat on, I thought no one knows. I don't know why that was important, but it was. And yay, got to the bell ringing stage. I still get emotional looking at that photo. So we had this goal. I finished the chemo. 6 weeks later, we had to front up to Helmsley in Yorkshire to see how we would go on this walk. 175 kilometres, 9 days, frail body. How would I go? That's a beautiful shot of the market town of Helmsley, which is the start of the Cleveland Way, which is amazing. That's, if anyone's ever been there, that Rosebery Topping is it's iconic mountain, felt like, in Yorkshire. This is on the downside of it, so I'm just sort of saying, hey, we made it over, yay. Now, along the way, plenty of adventures and dramas, and I must confess quite a few tantrums from me along the way. All the time, Olaf, my partner, just being the most supportive and amazing person. He could probably write a book himself about what he went through, but anyway, that's my jam, not his. And so here is my book. That's a cover. More to see. Pun. Yeah, which I didn't need to say. I'm sorry. So I've written about this, and I do reflect that even though the moment that changed my life was so devastating, that diagnosis that some of us have had or loved ones have had, it's devastating. I never would have written a book if that hadn't happened. So in a way, I'm not grateful it happened, but I can see the positives out of it. I never would have written a book, never would have been standing here. I never would have been writing my second book. So some good comes out of bad, and I think we hear that a lot from people who have been through a fairly life-changing experience, to say, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been where I am today. And so very quickly, I don't know if have I gone over, under? Perfect. Okay, thank you. Very quickly, we're back to this photo again. The photo of me and my father, taken 2 weeks prior to my breast cancer diagnosis. And I look at myself in that photo and I ponder how much I took for granted. I just had no idea what was to come, and none of us do. And I think that's what, when I reflect on this photo, I think about how all of our futures are so uncertain, and how the adage of needing to embrace every day as it comes really just hits home whenever I look at this photo. Live every day to the fullest. Stay as well as you can, and love your loved ones. Thank you. That seemed to go really quickly. Was that too quick? Was it perfect? Oh, good. More time. Okay. It's maybe some questions.
So, thank you very much, Vicki. Does anyone have any questions? Any people like myself who are or who have been into and loving walking and found it so exhilarating?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Quite emotional. Tell me, and speaking of emotions, how triggering was it for you to actually write the book? That, to me, could have been a pretty harrowing experience.
Yes, but cathartic as well. I discovered later in the walk, well, I had a thought later as we were walking that perhaps I had a story to tell that may be of interest and benefit to others. So with that lens and focus, it was quite easy to write. That said, there were a lot of tears as I wrote, and still I get very emotional. So there I go again. So not so much. It's weird what triggers me even now. I can be just looking at somebody and I can see that they're having a tough time, and I just can relate. So the book itself was actually cathartic and has helped a lot, and particularly now as I get feedback from people who have read it. All sorts of different sorts, not necessarily people who've been through breast cancer or treatment or anything. Some people have said to me that they appreciate my honesty at the comments that were directed towards me whilst I was having cancer. People don't know how to handle somebody. What should I say to her? What can I say? What can I do? And so my reflections on that, I hope, have been helpful as well. Interestingly, for me, one of the paradoxes of finding out I had breast cancer was that I pushed everybody away initially, because the overwhelming support that everybody wanted to show, family, friends, loved ones, people from afar, all made contact. And what can we do? I know somebody who's been through this, they can help you. And I was coping, well, not really coping with any of it at the time anyway. So my instinct was to push people away. And that's helped. Having written about that has helped some people as well. So hopefully to help them to understand what somebody going through treatment may why they may be pushing people away or something. Hopefully, somebody gets a little kernel of something out of the book. I feel it's been worth it. So the book, right, in answer to your question, writing the book, not necessarily triggering, although it did bring up a lot of memories. Even now, the thing that triggers me most is my annual oncologist appointment that I go to, and I have to go back into the same place that I had treatment. It's like, can't we do this somewhere else? Haven't we all moved on from here, please? So, yes, the book was fabulous. To recount the walk, like David said, the book is an intertwining of the two journeys, so the breast cancer journey and also the walk of the Cleveland Way. The reader comes on the walk with us, goes across all the creeks, climbs all the mountains, again, watches my tantrums. But at times I do the reflections on the breast cancer and interweave that in as well. So both journeys have brought me to where I am today. Yeah. Thank you.
I've got a comment or a question, I suppose. You've also walked a fair bit in the Flinders Ranges. How do you rate the walking in Australia compared to, say, the Kimona or the Cleveland Way and many other overseas ones that you've walked in the past?
Walking in Australia is a vastly different experience because of our huge space. So a couple of walks we've done overseas, the villages are so close together that you basically can walk a day between villages and then stay somewhere comfortable. In Australia, Olaf and I have walked the Great Ocean Road since the Cleveland Way, and there's not a lot of places you can stay there. So you have to be very organised. I think it's like we were saying before. Your walks along the Hyson Trail, you have to be super organised to get the drop off and the pick up and the where are you going to stay and the so that's one aspect that's very different. Flinders Ranges is still so wild and untouched. It's just beautiful. It's one of the best places to walk in the world. Except I don't think you can walk St Mary's Peak anymore. I think that might be sacred. I'm not sure. Might have to check that. But I'm glad I've done it anyway. I don't think I'd do it again. It's too hard. And the Camino, well, that's become like a highway. The Camino de Santiago. There's so many pilgrims these days are doing it that it's. I'm glad I've done it already. But yeah, I don't think I'd do that again. I'm getting older now anyway. It's too hard.
Okay, well, all I can say there, don't stop old age necessarily. I think I was 75 when I started walking the Hyson Trail. But, yeah, sure. Okay, so let's move over to Frida.
Can you hear me?
Sure. Yep.
Yes, David, you were old when we started the Hyson Trail. We started and finished together. No, I'm interested in congratulations on what you did
Thank you.
soon after treatment.
Yeah, thank you.
Given that we've got a little bit of time, I'd like some more reflections, if you don't mind, about the actual walk.
Yes.
Like, having been through that treatment, did it affect your walking in any way? What accommodations did you need to make? Were you able to keep up with the group, that sort of?
We walked on our own as a couple.
Yep.
So and just at our own pace. So that helped. I'm a slow walker anyway, so yeah, it helped. My biggest concern was my feet and my toenails because the chemotherapy has such an impact. I mean, the hair's an obvious one. You lose your hair. Things like teeth moving and toenails quite often can come off, like just because, it's not nice. So one of my biggest fears was losing my toenails. Usually walkers worry about blisters, but yeah, mine was toenails. So I had to be very mindful of that. Not a lot you can do to prevent that happening, but I did have to check on it quite a lot. So make sure, but they were fine. They were fine, and in the end, as far as stamina goes, there were a couple of days we were scheduled to walk like 25 or so kilometres. 1 or 2 days, I think. I just went, I can't do any more. Got to a point, and I just said to Olaf, I know this feels like cheating because we're not going to do this particular leg fully, but we got a taxi or a bus. So, yeah, we just made it work, did what we could. It was only 2 days out of the 9. I think we didn't quite do them all. Yeah, so mainly those two things. My stamina was building, and interestingly, it's like any walk, I suppose. When you start at a certain fitness level, and over the 9 days, your fitness level really increases, and you get so much fitter. You're just doing what you need to do. You're getting match fit as you go along. And I've often thought if I was as fit at the start, if I could switch it around and be as fit as I was at the end at the start, it would have been a breeze. But if, can't do that, can we? So yeah, it was. And the other part of that is as I walked, I was noticing because it was intense at times, uphill and downhill, so quite stressed on the body. I actually found that the physical benefits of that were my hair started to grow quicker. My skin cleared up. The physical nature of the walk actually increased my healing as we went. So, yeah, everyone should get out there and walk. Yes, yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, I didn't know any of that beforehand. The things you learn when you're given a cancer diagnosis, it's like suddenly you have to become pretty boned up on everything. Yeah, and my motivation wasn't necessarily the healing at the time. It was just to get there and prove a point to myself.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on what you've achieved. You said at the start of your talk that we shouldn't take things for granted and then never know what's around the corner. And I think most of us this age are practical and pragmatic in that regard. But I'm just wondering, once you received, the bad news, what were your thought processes in terms of? Are there any insights that you can give us? Because sometime or other, we're all going to face something. Is there any wisdom that you can give us in terms of what you're thinking about the future should you not survive, and what you should be doing, whatever?
It's a very interesting question because initially my thought process, I didn't even consider that I'd die. Just didn't. That wasn't even in my thinking. Now it is. So in actual fact, the time that's elapsed has exacerbated that thinking. And I'm not sure I'm dealing with it all that well. Every time there's a test done or something, you have that quiet fear. What if? Yeah. So at the time of the diagnosis, I think I was just so bloody minded about it all that it just didn't enter my mind. So any tips I could give now? It's just the only thing I can suggest from my experience is just to grab everything while you can, with limitations, obviously. But I think it's I've got friends who are contemplating should they retire or not. Just do it. Just do it. So I think that could be the mantra. Just do it.
Thank you. What is your second book about?
Well, at the moment, it's in a lot of bits and pieces. So I'm writing lots of parts to it. I am going to be doing another walk later in the year, so maybe that could become part of it as well. In fact, it will be part of it. It's going to be the structure. It's the same. It'll be the same sort of structure with the walk as the vehicle through which just my continuing journey, I think, will evolve. So lots more, hopefully, lots more insights and funny stories. Yeah. But at the moment, it's a little incoherent. But it will. I think once we've done the walk, it will come together. I'm enjoying the writing process. So what evolves from that, we'll see. Thank you.